Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this update on Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. I'm sure you all know that this is the new name that has been given by Microsoft to the product that was formerly known as Tenerife. And in today's webinar, I'm going to walk you through some of the basics on the solution and also on the impact it has on our work that we're doing today and tomorrow. We can see there's a lot of participants, so thank you very much everybody for joining. If you do have a question, please be so kind to put that in the chat window, and then my colleague Danielle will hopefully hint me on the question, and I'll try to answer as good as I can. Also, the session will also be recorded. So for any of your colleagues that is not able to join today, we will send out the recording. So for people that don't know, my name is Sanoma and I'm the Partner Technical Strategist for the QBS Group. And in that role, I try to follow what Microsoft is doing and deliver that to our partner community and also to non-QBS partners in different ways. And one of those ways is today's webinar. So thank you for coming. So we do have some challenges today. And that is that over the last basically a week, Microsoft has uploaded more than 100 presentations, blogs, internet sites, and today's presentation is trying to give you the best overview that we can of that content. But I also hope that you may understand that we haven't been, we are up to date, but there's a lot going on happening. So not everything is in a way presentable that we would like it to be. So some of the slides will contain screenshots from either presentations or Directions Asia. And we will work on the next few weeks to get that content in a better way to you so that you can also help use it to present it to your own customers. As the news of Dynamics 365 Business Central will continue to be updated, we do encourage you to follow us on Jammer and LinkedIn to see the latest updates. And for everybody who is here today, we are doing this webinar basically every 6 weeks. The next one is on the 27th of May. And if you have any specific topics that you would like to have covered in that webinar, please send me an email and I will try to get that content into the next webinar. And yeah, I think this is one of those webinars that the coming month, anybody of your organization or every organization should at least have one person attending these webinars, because this is our primary way of feeding information to the QBS community. So over the last 2 weeks, we have seen two big announcements. We have seen the announcements of Dynamics 365 Business Central, and I'm sharing with you here the basic landing pages on where you can find more information. And also Microsoft has released what they call a Dynamics 365 spring release. And that is a document and blog containing 220 something pages. And what you can see there is that one of those topics discussed in that PDF is, of course, Dynamics 365 Business Central, but also updates on Dynamics 365 sales, marketing, talent. So you can really see that Microsoft is now positioning Business Central as a part of the Dynamics 365 family. And also customers will start seeing that in that way and also be asking questions to you in that light. So that is one of the big changes that we can see already. If we take a closer look at Dynamics 365 Business Central, of course this is the next generation of what we know as NAV, and it's pushing us and the partner community further to an online world. And in the end, I think this is the biggest change that we've ever seen in our industry. If we compare that from going from a 2-tier to a 3-tier solution, or going from the classic client to the role-tailored client, those were all, let's call it minor changes, where this is the big revolution. And as all revolutions, they kind of hurt at the beginning, and at the end you have a different situation. And of course, this will impact everything that's happening on your partner side. So it will change your go-to-market. It will change the way you do marketing and sales. It will change the way that you develop. So it is quite a big revolution, and it's good to remember that the general availability of Business Central is set on the 2nd of April 2018. So that's the time when the product can be sold. And of course, when I say that date, everybody's curious which countries are that at that date are going to be available. So no changes there. So it's the countries that were announced last year at Directions as well. And there's a typo in my slide. Sorry for that. So the 1st of July, Australia and New Zealand will also be available. And there will also be a W1 version for those countries where Microsoft is not able to deliver the localization. They at least have the W1 version. And at this point in time, there's no further announcements on countries like Italy or Poland. I know Italy is, of course, in initial. Countries like Poland, where Microsoft hasn't got a localization themselves. So at the moment, we will see how that will develop. So of course, one of the biggest changes that we can see in Business Central is the new UI. And one of those striking things is, of course, in the left corner, what we call the heading. So that's a particular place where you can promote information on what's going on in the system. And of course, that's also one of those things that we need to think about as a developer or a consultant on which information am I going to put in that heading. Because if it says every morning just good morning, then probably people will so they won't read it anymore. And as it does take quite a big part of the screen, it is good for people to remember that if you're building a vertical on Business Central, that you have your information there that's relevant to that user and to that day of the month. Probably some of you have already seen the webinar by Marco yesterday, Marco Pericic. There was also a demo by Errol Schoenfish, who's the Director of Product Marketing, on the product and the integration with Outlook. And I do want to run that 5-6 minute video here again for those people who haven't been able to see that yesterday. And after that, I will continue with the Business Central information.
Information about what's happening within their business. At the same time, what this does is just really allows them to concentrate in the way that makes most for their organization. As mentioned, this is a full nav capability within the solution. And so one of the things that we've also done is just to kind of explain customers what it's all about, what each individual role, not only having the business manager and also there's production planner. So we have menu fees also in Dynamics 365 Business Central for your customers. In the that is how really that we can connect directly to Power BI, so that are built there and have them surfaced where it makes sense. And as I mentioned, this is embedded, so it's inclusive across solutions, including those Power BI reports in the list pages central through the analytics capabilities. This previously in the solution, but to really show how you can see information on capabilities. And as a result of those forecasts, you can action what's hapcast. So the intelligence is built in, showing us this specific inventory item and telling us what our inventory quantity orders should be as a result of that. And at the same time, it also is able to suggest other purchase from this vendor idea of intelligence. One of the recently saw there last week to do personalization within Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. And it's really just incredibly easy to personalize the UMix. I might move them up closer into my home page, that information for me where I want to see it. limited to the home. I wanted is one of them to look to sides, different fields. I'm just going to quickly do is freeze pane so that I can see the name plus the customer account number. But you're able to resize and again make the list pages exactly what a customer is looking for. And at the same time, I mentioned you're able to personalize forms. And again, these are this is really kind of an interesting thought process for somebody who's going to be in a multi-tenant full cloud solution, that they're able to make the
Hvad skete der? Det bare fordi lyden er dårlig på det her?
Sven, we don't hear you anymore or the video.
So, this great integration.
Yes, it's up again. Thank you.
Turn on the sound again. Strange.
No.
One of the things that we love to show is the capability to understand contextually the customers that we're working on, and as a result, surface Business Central information that's specific to that customer. And what we've added is, again, the intelligence to understand items in an email and suggest that those are line items from your inventory and have them show up, in this case, on the quote that's surfacing in the solution. So Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, an all-in-one comprehensive business management solution that's modern, it's unified with Microsoft capabilities, it has intelligence embedded in the solution, and you can extend that through other things like Power BI, and at the same time it's adaptable to what a customer is looking for in both the workflow capabilities and the ability to modify the UI in a cloud multi-tenant.
Put on sound again.
So it's a pleasure showing that to you, and now I'll hand it back over to Marco to continue on with the presentation.
Nej, det var bara en chatt.
Thanks so much, Rob. In addition to what Errol just showed, we have over 100 year improvement.
Information.
So there was a first glance of the Dynamics 365 Business Central product. We will try to give you some more high quality videos over the next few weeks as they come available. And what I want to talk to you now about is the pricing for Business Central, and these prices that are end customer. And so we have three levels. We have the team member, we have an essential user, and a premium user. So team members are basically the people that can read data and update the data in the system. If you have a customer that runs a system with all capabilities but doesn't need service management or manufacturing, you can use the essential plan, which is going to be 70 euros to the end customer. And if a customer is running a service management and or manufacturing requirement, then you will need a premium environment, which will be at 100 euro per user. And what's important to remember is that you choose per customer a essentials plan or a premium plan. So there's no mix and match per user between premium and essentials on an individual customer basis. So some things that are good to remember is that these are named users instead of the concurrent user model that we have today. It can only be bought through the Cloud Solution Provider program, which of course any QBS partner can purchase that through QBS. As mentioned, there's no mix and match between plan 1 being essentials and plan 2 being the premium. There will be promotions for customers that are running on-premise at the moment to move to Business Central, and at the moment the discount that they will get is 40% on list price for a limited amount of time, and that period will end by 2019. So by that time they will fall back to the original pricing. And of course the functionality in Business Central is like what we have today in NAV 2018. So that's about pricing. We have published on our Jammer the full pricing and licensing guides from Microsoft. So if you have any detailed question or you want to browse through that, please follow the link which is on this slide.
Sven,
so, yes,
one
I
of the questions.
Yeah.
See the question? Do you see questions? Okay.
Yeah, I see questions already. So Frederick, the rebate that you get as a direct CSP will be 30 plus 8%. And if you go through an indirect CSP like QBS, those providers will have a small amount of that kickback for the services that they do. So expect around 30 points on a typical sale. So and that will be 20 plus an 8% rebate. If someone delivers an ISV, does every named user in the license have to? So that's the same as today, Christian. So if you're running an ISV solution, then all those people will have to have access to the system. So I don't believe there's a change in that. Of course, if you want to run an ISV solution on Business Central, it has to be developed as an extension, which I will come back later. So talking about the team members, and this also comes from the pricing and licensing sheet. So a team member is able to basically update any information in the system, and it will also be able to read information across Dynamics 365 applications. So we know that what we've seen in the business edition with the plans, that has not been continued. So there's no pricing available at this point when you combine Dynamics 365 CRM and Business Central. But with a team member, those people can actually read information both from an NAV system and a CRM or talent or marketing system. So it does relieve some of the pain that you have if you're moving from a named user, from a concurrent system to a named user system. Let me take a look at the question. Is there any cost for additional? Yeah, that's a good question, Stafford. I had a meeting last week with Microsoft. They weren't aware of the prices on that point. So that's an outstanding question at this point in time. So if we look at the positioning of Business Central, then for me, I can see Business Central today basically serving 3 markets. That's on the lower end, the accountancy market with the release of the accountant portal. It will be able to serve what I call smaller customers with an assumption between 5 and 15 users, where those customers have enough on a business system that can be customized via events and extensions, and also they are happy with using the web client. The traditional business that we are doing today as a community mostly is, of course, serving our customers with a vertical, and on top of that we do some customizations. As Business Central can only be customized by extensions, and most of the verticals out there in the market are not available as an extension today, I expect that the coming months or X period of time that most customers will still be served with an NAV 2018 system with a vertical. And what we also know is that the bigger ISVs of this world who have today a embed contract, they also have the ability to work with Business Central in an ISV cloud embed way. So for the time being, what we will see is that most partners will use NAV 2018 and host that on Microsoft Azure. So at least then we have the advantage of a hosted solution. We can then also run our vertical with customization possibilities. And what we see a lot of time happening is that those partners are selling a perpetual license or a subscription license in combination with hosting. And of course, if we're selling a perpetual license today in combination with hosting, then we have some cash upfront to do from the license, and we also get some recurring revenue from the hosting. So that is for the time being the go-to market that we will see mostly. Just have a look at the questions. Oh, no, they're the questions I had. Thank you. And of course, our future as our industry, it will be Business Central in some time frame. That time frame will depend on the speed of the market changing to extensions. And if that's going to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, I wish I knew, because then I would be a rich man. So it all depends on the speed and the amount of money that the Microsoft community is going to spend on transforming their vertical into extensions. So for those people who are thinking about using the web client for their customers, there are some additions to the web client in ways to work with the keyboard, but still it's not the way that we have today in the Windows client, where we have the filter, Control N, and those kinds of things. So for heavy users doing a lot of things in the system, we know the web client is going to be the default client, and all the investments by Microsoft are going to go that area. But as long as the shortcuts are not at the same playing field, it's going to be hard for some customers to use the web client, of course. So of course you're thinking about how can we customize Business Central. Well, of course we have the in-client designer that you saw in the video, where we can basically drag and drop fields and also move parts of a page. And remember, these designs are on a per customer basis. So although Business Central is a true SaaS solution, you can still change the forms and the page and the pages in a way that represents the customer needs. Another way to extend the systems, of course, by using event and extensions. And in that area, you can even do customer-specific customizations. So you can have events and extensions built upon Business Central by getting apps from AppSource, but you are still going to be able to do a by customer-specific customization if you use event and extensions. And I think that's quite a unique offer by Microsoft, that you can run custom code in a SaaS environment. So if we're talking about game changers or unique selling points, I definitely think this is one of them. And I do realize that not all things that we want today are possible with events and extensions. We have 44 APIs available to us to also connect with other languages and third-party solutions. And in the end, we also have the Power Suite, as we call it, so the combination of Power BI, Power Apps, and Flow, which are basically extending the system in a great way. And I'm going to show you an example later on. And basically for any NAV practice, this year will be the year that you will have to start investing in getting knowledge on Flow Power Apps. And I'm assuming most of you already know Power BI. But if you look at the amount of new features that has been pushed by Microsoft on the Power Apps platform in combination with the Common Data Service, it's real clear that that's going to be the future of Microsoft with the Dynamics platform. Just going to have a look at the questions. Sean, what's happening with an upgrade and a conversion on-premise? I don't understand, Sean, your question. So can you elaborate on that?
Sven, I already answered that one.
Oh, thank you, Nelson. Ash. Okay, thanks, Nelson. Then I go on. So talking about extensions, of course, the biggest example the biggest value of extension is that once we've made a customization or vertical solution, and the platform changes, that this now becomes an upgradable customization. So basically, we can change the core system, reinstall the extension, and we can use that modification again. And of course, if we go further, the development of vertical apps and add-on apps will be done more and more by the use of extensions. And we can also see by Microsoft that they are trying their best to also have the localizations available as extensions. And of course, we've asked the question: can we then run multiple localizations in one database? And I all know that you want to do that, but at the moment, Business Central is set up that per localization they have different tenants, and there's no plans at this point in time to have the possibility to combine that. Of course, it's always also hard to stop that, because if I can install localizations or extensions myself. So it's going to be a very interesting way to see that if we actually can combine localizations in one database, and if that will work. But that's to be determined. Can we say, if I have to answer a question, Danielle, that you shout out? Otherwise, I just continue with the presentation.
Yes, you can go on.
Okay, thanks. So the roadmap for NAV/Business Central. So we now have the 365 Business Central update, and we know that the general availability will be on the 2nd of April. There will be no NAV R2 2018 before fall. And in fall, we will also go through a name change. So then a new version of the on-prem product will also be released, and that will be called Dynamics 365 Business Central. So these coming few months will be the last months that we have an NAV product. So enjoy that time. No, but seriously, in the fall, basically customers will be buying Business Central. Also the marketing by Microsoft will focusing on Business Central, and how we deliver that to a partner on a on-premise, multi-tenant hosting, single-tenant hosting, or through the SaaS offer by Microsoft, is something that you decide in your sales cycle. And functionality-wise, of course, new features will always be published first on Business Central, and then we will get updates to the on-prem product in a time frame following that update of the cloud solution. So also good to remember are the last 2 points on this slide, is that Business Central is truly a member of the Dynamics 365 family. So if we're looking at release notes, if we're looking at marketing, Microsoft will say more and more, dear customer, whatever your need is, the answer is a Dynamics 365 product, being that a ERP, CRM, or marketing app. That is something that you determine together with the partner. So in that case, in that way, we can really see that Business Central is an application that we run, that we sell to our customers, but it's also a platform. If we look at it from a broader perspective, where we take into account that Power Apps, Flow, Common Data Service are all being added to that stack that a customer will buy. So the days that we just sell an ERP product and don't have any integrations or other products is slowly moving away from us, which makes, of course, for opportunities to make more money, but it also makes partners need more knowledge. And also, well, my personal opinion on that is that we need to work more together as Microsoft partners, because it's becoming harder and harder to manage all those products from Microsoft by a single partner. Some new numbers on the NAV. I know you've all been shouting about those numbers. So we now know that NAV is being used by 160,000 customers, with 2.7 million users that are using that. And it's basically sold in 195, that's probably any country in the world. And these are official numbers, so nothing is under NDA in this presentation. So you can use these numbers in your own marketing material, websites, or sales cases. And I'm not sure, but probably with those numbers, it's one of the widely used ERP systems in the world. So that's also good to know if people are asking me, is Microsoft really serious on NAV, or are they stopping it? I think with these kinds of numbers, it's pretty sure that Microsoft is not not stopping with NAV, and if we see the move to SaaS and the investments that they keep on making, I would be surprised if we couldn't counter that argument for my customer. Looking at the Power Suite, there were some nice examples at Directions Asia as well. So one of them is that of course, if I have a Power App, I can read data. I think we all know that by this time. But it's also good that you can also create data from Power Apps. So you can have a form in Power App where you fill out information, and then you can send it to the database, taking into account the business logic. So you can't add an item line with an item number that doesn't exist. And of course, we can also see that Microsoft Flow is becoming more and more a workflow engine where people need to approve and reject on things that are happening in the database. For instance, a sales order with a high discount percentage, or of course, the classical example of a purchase invoice coming in. So these are really building blocks of NAV/Business Central that can't be ignored anymore. Well, for people that know, there was an event on Wednesday called the Microsoft Business Forward event, and there was a great example by the product lead of Power Apps on how to make a small Power App, and that's a video of about 10 minutes. I know the people that were in the audience, amongst them some of my colleagues, were really amazed by the power of Power Apps and how easy it is to make a Power App, and basically the way it's going to be presented from a marketing perspective is that any Office user that can make a PowerPoint presentation can now make an app, because it's really drag and drop, and also like controls with your camera, so you can drag in a frame saying I want to use my camera of my phone to make pictures, and it really is a drag and drop way. So for any customer that has a mobile requirement, I really encourage you to take a look at Power Apps, and also take a look at the first video in this slide. It's about 11 minutes. I think it's a little bit too long to run it today, but after this presentation, you can do some work, and at 4 o'clock, if you're done with the week, just have a look at that video, because it's really amazing. So, of course, you're all dying to get your hands on Business Central. So there is a Docker image available, which you can use to take a first look at the product, and I've included the link here to get that. And what is also good to know is once the product is general available, through the CSP program, you can get a 30-day trial of the product. You can even add that to an existing tenant for a customer on Office 365. And if you do customizations or work, or you added data in that system, you can even upgrade that 30-day trial to a real system. So we know we've all been using a trial.dynamics.com or demos.microsoft.com, and those demos end at a 30 or 60-day period, and there's no way to uplift them to a live environment. But with this 30-day trial, it is possible. Of course, 30-day, most sales tracks will take a little bit longer. So we will see if that's possible to extend that. But if you're at the last stage of your sales cycle, you want to give the customer their own environment, at least this is a great way to do that. And also good to know that if you have a customer in the UK, US, or Canada, that every new Office 365 tenant in the back end will also have a Business Central environment, because in those countries we have a product called Business Center, which is part of Office 365. And there you get the invoicing app, which is a free light version of Business Central, where you can just make invoices. And when a customer says, "Well, I want to do more," they can take their data, move to Business Central, and all within the same Office 365 tenant. And this is one of the subjects that we also cover in our product pricing and packaging trainings. So of course, the mission of QBS remains the same, but then on Business Central. So at the moment we have a little over 500 partners in Europe, and we want to help them to become successful on Dynamics 365. So what are we doing from that perspective? We will keep doing this 6-weekly online update. And again, this is our primary source to summarize all the information on a product/strategy level that we know at that point in time. We're gonna write some technical blogs on the specifics of Business Central. We're doing what we call the roundtables. I've seen some people that have registered in either Holland or Denmark, and basically that is we take all the information that we have from Microsoft. We sit down between 6 and 8 partners and we discuss, okay, how does it influence your business? How are you going to work with that? What do you need from us and Microsoft to become more engaged? So that's really a quality day where we can spend time together on seeing what is the best way to move forward. So any organization that's really serious about moving to Business Central, please join me in those roundtables. In April, I'm also going to go to Seattle with one of my colleagues for what we call a lead enterprise architect program. And there we will be updated on the more broader Microsoft strategy, and we will also do a roundtable on that. We continue to deliver trainings around Business Central, where the product pricing and packaging training is basically giving you the start on what is events, what is extensions, what is AppSource, how does it change my go-to-market, how do I make money with apps, how does that influence my organization. We have one in Holland on the 5th of April. We've got about 7 people already attending, so that is a very good way to start your Business Central journey. Of course, we're also going to deliver for the technical people, how do you actually build an extension? And we are working on a what's new in NEV 2018/Business Central from a functionality perspective, because NEV 2018 has a lot of new features. We've written a document with describing around 60 features, and that's already a 200+ page PDF. So that will come available through our academy. And in the end, for any organization that wants to transform their current IP to an extension or wants to build an app for AppSource, we have developed together with Microsoft what we call the Ready to Go program. And the Ready to Go program consists of resources, services, and tooling to help you as a partner transform your IP to extensions. And this is a program that we run together with One Click Factory, where QBS focuses more on the business and the CSP/billing side of things, and One Click Factory delivers the technical knowledge. And that alliance really can take any step with you to become effective and happy with Business Central. And we have a webinar scheduled on the 11th of April, where we're going to go into depth on the different steps that we are delivering on this Ready to Go program. And if you want to have more information, you can either click our link, which is on the left, or on the right-hand side is also the landing page by Microsoft. So you can go either of those pages to learn more about that journey. In a high-level way, we are taking you through a learning phase where we give you the basic knowledge to make decisions on Business Central. In the second phase, we can do a scoping workshop to assess what are the changes needed in your IP to transform it to an extension, and we can also give some estimations on what the price of that would be. And of course, if you don't have resources by yourself, or you want to be busy with your new customers or upgrading them, we can also build that extension for you. Once you have built your extension, there's a ready-to-go validation workshop with Microsoft, where we basically check all the necessities if they are in place to go to AppSource. And then once you are in AppSource, we can bill the app for you, so that you don't have to build your own billing engine, and we can keep the app up to date. And as Microsoft demands that you can test your app in an automated way, we also have an automated testing service available for partners that don't have their own testing suite, because that is one of the requirements by Microsoft, that if you have an app in App Source, that around 90% of your code can be tested in an automatic way. That is what I wanted to tell today. Well, as you all know me, I can talk on for hours, but as we have a lot of participants, I would also open up the floor for any FAQ, being it either via, give me a shout via chat, and if it's necessary, we'll open up your mic. Thank you, Danielle, for the link to the product pricing practicing training. Mats, how to build extensions. We are looking at dates at this time, but we expect that to be in the next 3 months. Any more questions, as we have the whole QBS bunch on standby, which is a unique moment, so please don't be shy on any questions. Oh, thanks, Andy. There must be more questions from 105 people attending this webinar. Well, for the Dutch partners, we have QBShare next week on Thursday, so there's also an opportunity to ask questions there. Is assembly part of basically, if it's in NAV 2018 right now, it should be in Business Central because it's the same product. All right, then seeing from the questions, I take the liberty of making the conclusion that the information was clear and it was what you were looking for today. Please join us in 6 weeks' time, where probably we're going to have more details on the different sites. Join us on the April 11th for the Ready to Go program. And as always, you can contact us in the ways that you are familiar with. Thank you so much.